Well guys, here we go, a little bit of a video. You may remember this here trailer from last season when we took a almost perfectly good child bicycle trailer, cut off all the fabric and such, got rid of the framework, and built our own wire mesh cage using essentially chicken wire and copper tubing. Well, I ran this trailer pretty much for the remainder of the summer into the fall before the snow started to fly. Well, now comes a time where digging her out for the spring, getting her on going. However, I'm wanting to do a little bit of upgrades. One of the biggest upgrades I'd like to do to it is to omit the chicken wire that is on it and replace it with a finer wire or plastic type of mesh. The reason why, I'll show you here in a second, is you take a bottle and just say it makes its way through, and you see there it's about 1 inch or 3 through the mesh itself. Well, which is not a big deal if it hangs out the bottom, the back or the front. But when the same thing happens on the side where the wheels are, it sticks out and it'll actually jam into the spokes, which will lock up the wheel, which is a pain. It's a safety issue. It is a pain. It can cause a lot more things to happen that you don't want. So I got to decide if I want to take the easy way out and leave the chicken wire on it, sacrifice a little bit of lightness for easiness, wrap the new mesh just over top of everything and call it good, or if I want to strip it all down, probably leaving the bottom intact, because the bottom itself is quite fine, just the sides where the problem is. By overwrapping the chicken wire with the new plastic mesh, it will add a little more weight because you're leaving the old stuff on, but it'll save a bit of time. So I have to decide if that's the direction I want to go, or if I want to strip her all down. It wouldn't be that hard to take it all off, like it is just held on with zip ties and such. The copper tubing doesn't run through the mesh anywhere. That's the way I built it. However, I think the easiest way is just to overlay or overwrap it and throw a few more zip ties on it and call it good. Okay guys, so here we go. Not sure if you guys can see the mesh because of the light and the shade, but I went around it and I cut all the way around the bottom, pretty much separating the sides from the bottom of the mesh. If I remember correctly, when I built this, I built the bottom tray first and set it in place and kind of peeled back the bottom of the mesh basket, if you want to say, and then laid the sides in place, then pulled the mesh basket bottom kind of up, so basically the sides dropped into the basket. So what I did is I trimmed all that around. I trimmed all the zip ties off, cut any of the areas I think are should be hindrance. So now we just got to trim up the side and it all should peel away, kind of like an orange. So kind of finding your start point, whatever it may be, work your way up. Now, like I mentioned there earlier, there is an easier way to have done this, just to have laid the mesh over top, but it would add a bit of weight to it, and sometimes weight in some conditions is your enemy. It'll make you work harder, it'll slow you down, it could cause things to have other issues. So if you can make things as light as possible. So as you see now, the wiring is ready to come off. Pretty much just grab it, work it around. You might have to cut a couple more areas that you may have missed. Right down there, you see there's an area that needs to be dealt with. So what I'll do is I'll get this wire off, and then clean up any of the areas, and then we'll come on back when it's time to roll them. Okay guys, so here we go. Well, got that plastic mesh all wrapped around. It went fairly well. It kind of makes a bit of an optical delusion when you're looking at it. Makes your eyes kind of want to go all weird, but I did a double wrap on it. It kind of looks like it's going to have a little bit of a give on, well, all four sides, which is a good thing. I may end up having to put something in that bar to keep it out of the wheels. When I built this thing, I was going to put a bar in here right about the same height as the rim, but I chose not to, partly because I was actually running out of copper, and would have made another trip down and, you know, more expense on the build itself. In hindsight, I probably should have done it, because it would have been well, the right thing to have done. So I just got to go around and put, you know, a few more zip ties in. I'll have to fold the top down. It definitely is a thinner, a lighter mesh than, of course, the metal or the aluminum mesh that was on it. It might, over time, get damaged by the sun. You know, having it out for the summer, storing it in the winter and such, it may not last nearly as long as the metal does, but it was cheap to buy, and it's very easy to replace. Really, you just, again, cut up the side of it, run a few more zip ties, and, well, it'll all be good. So what I'll do, guys, is I'll get this rest of it all zip tied together, and then, well, we'll fold down the top, and then get the wheels on, get them all aired up, and then it'll be good to go. Well, got the fabric wrap, or plastic wrap, whatever you want to call her, wrapped around her, zip tied in, trimmed around the, well, corners and everything. Again, not a perfect job, but hey, if it lasts the season, then that's all I ask. Don't know what the extra ounces of weight reduction difference would be, but I'm sure it's, well, not a lot, but you do compromise a bit when you lose weight on strength. But again, you know, you went with lighter material because you didn't want the extra, you know, weight kicking around. In the future, of course, I may redesign this here trailer. I've only had it full 2 or 3 times, and having, you know, the extra 6 inches at the top sometimes makes it awkward to reach on in. I did think about putting a fold down side to it, but that would add, you know, an extra little bit of weight, but it would make it a lot easier to reach on in to get out, you know, the things. Everything went together fairly well. Like I said, just a few more zip ties, and well, it was good to go. In hindsight, I maybe should have took out the tube there for the reacher. Took that out. It's only 3 zip ties. It would have made a better job, a tighter job on the inside corner fold, but I guess it is what it is. I'm in no danger of losing any recyclables out of here. Once you get weight in here, you get the bottom full, the wire will push out against the mesh. So let's go track down our wheels, throw some air in it, and we'll see how she looks like when it's all together. Pretty much got her, well, all wrapped, all back together, all good to roll. I got the equipment and such put into place, pretty much ready for its run. Not 100% sure if I'll be able to take you along on the run, because I don't have a camera mount on this here bike, and well, it's going to be best part of dark, and the footage will be probably really shaky. But pretty much what I'll do is we'll cut from here to, well, tomorrow's shot, and then I'll show you what I got, if it was worth going out, if it's still a little bit too early in the season, and well, all that good stuff. Well, guys, there we go. Of course, I headed out and well, found what I could find. Now, this was not a well, extreme run where I stayed out until I found a certain quota. I pretty much just rode to one stop and well, dug out what I could find. I suppose if I would have went further and stayed out longer, I probably could have got more. I imagine the earliness of the season is affecting the counts as well, and of course the economy being a little bit on the softer side, people aren't traveling yet, and variables like that. But of course, you know, there is your beverage containers like beer bottles, pop bottles, water bottles. Found some items in there for the fire pit channel, which well, definitely is a bonus. There isn't really any major flaws in the netting that's opened up as of right now. The only thing that I'm going to have to probably remedy is the netting itself goes on the outside of the silver wire. So when I drop something in there, sometimes it gets caught between the two. But, you know, that's what trial runs are for. That's what test runs are for. That's how you figure out variables and things that need to be addressed before, well, the big run happens and you end up with a catastrophic failure. But pretty much, guys, probably going to clean this all out, get ready for the next one, and around we go. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's World. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.